Thanks a lot, and hello everyone. Today I want to share about FIVS platform and how we became such a platform. Working in Tinkoff company. Let me introduce myself. I'm team lead in this company. We are automating managerial access, and this is the main platform, FWAS. Well, before that, I was doing automation in different international companies. Usually it was related to the network stacks, so I have more or less like an idea of how to do this. Well, what my presentation is all about, what we do, what is FWAS, what are our goals, and I will try to tell them about the history of why such a platform was born in the first place and what is going on them. And also we'll mention something about the future, where we move and what we do. What is FWS? Basically, it's a firewall service. It's a firewall. This was the beginning of our work, and now this is the platform, like access management platform within the company. What we do is basically we open new network accesses. We're trying to avoid vendor lock, so the platform would be easy to connect new providers to, and also we provide analytics based on access, and also we have like vice versa. You need to recall those accesses, and I think we've outgrown firewalls right now, and we not only do firewalls, but basically different point of traffic filtration, and also we keep up those access points in the relevant state. Well, who are our clients? Who is coming? Who is ordering what? And basically we can identify several questions like provide access, or give us access like right now, and clients are saying explain us why it is there, and we are kind of a platform which doing something, doing this magic and finding these filtration configuration points, and eventually we provide a result. The platform was born about 5 years ago, and this name FWAS came to be like 2 years ago, and our team was shrinking and expanding from 2 to 5 people. This has been our growth in the company, and the platform was growing. You can see like a micro screen. You can tell that one of the legacy services had been working for about 3 years. We just turned it off, so it's stability on one hand, and it's hard to say goodbye to legacy, of course. Now, who is using FWAS? We can break it down by roles. These are developers and engineers who are ordering access for a specific project, and it's crucial for them for this to be opened up, fast, not to lose any access, and of course this would be infrastructure, safety, and security. This is the topic of the conference, and the guys need access. They need to recall some unsafe access, what kind of accesses they have. And also, it's a big deal. And also, we have NetOps, network engineers, and they design networks and hardware, equipment, everything. And we get from them a requirement. What is to be automated? How often you can apply upgrades and so on. And the platforms, of course, they're integrating with us. They need automation so that you would be able to do something about the providing access and recalling access. This automation idea, how it came to be in we have the safety zone, and the traffic has been filtered when you move from one safety zone to another. Within one zone, the traffic is not filtered. In a simplified form, I can give you filtration forms on as a list of rules, which is matched to some policies, and first policies which will be in the top, which will be activated. If not one will be activated, will be a denial. Whatever is not permitted is automatically denied. And if you look at it, is it possible without automation to bypass it? For example, we cut in our costs, and it's working right without automation. So if you ever tried this approach, you can tell me. Leave this work to NetOps. Well, cost of mistake. How costly is mistake? Let's see. For example, web inquiry to change configuration. We tried these configurations. We know that interface is like, okay, fine, we know it. And as a network engineer, we are planning a big change. And there are many different examples when you apply different config. You use it on control plane, you download control plane, and also you have routing. So if you loaded control plane, the routing may go down. And it is not like you don't have any access. You have nothing. No traffic is going. And we got like a big malfunction. So the lesson we can learn is, number one, firewalls, what we're tuning up, setting up, they impact work of the whole company. You can damage many things. On the other hand, I also wanted to find some windows where this risk could be minimized, like at nighttime. So let's try to build FWAS with you. Let's use some kind of ready tool. We've taken some external instrument. We put it into the closed segment of the network. We have some devices in there, and this tool is designing commands and applying commands, and it can generate commands for the rollback. It looks really cool. There are some nuances we have to specify. Number one is probably unstable behavior when applied. For example, we have like two firewalls, and for access to work, you have to apply it for two. So the command actuated on one didn't work on the other one, so it would be good to roll it back from the second firewall. But this tool is not very stable, would not roll back like in a stable manner. And the more often it would happen, the more often it would go back to network engineers working manually and no automation. What can we do? We can write a proprietary tool which would do the application. Again, we're trying to cut our costs, and we can leave the command generation for the external tools, and let's try to do a service which will be using only commands. Yes, it worked, it was great. We even felt some inspiration, and it looks like, can we automate anything else? Yes, we can. Let's try to write our own automation tool. Now, what can you automate fast? Do you need to automate fast? And what are your goals? We want it to be like with minimal risks, not to break things, and also expandability. So we can, what do we put as a goal for it to be able to do the design and to avoid the previous situation when we kind of upload little by little? We also need some kind of analysis tools to see what is open. And to give you a picture of how this access design works, let's build this model. We're going to operate policies, and all the policies inside, they have description from which safety zone to which safety zone you go, and also number of addresses where you come and go, and also ports and protocols. So as long as you can generate commands for any device, looks pretty simple. Architecture. Not too complicated either. We take some sequence or a database, we put the assignments, then UI is attached to it, and also a model which is able to generate commands out of tasks. Everything is put on the plan, so like we open it up only at the night time. System looks cool and works great. Also, additional tools. The information security comes to us and say we need some analytics, what can be done. We can add cache and to read it from the device, not to overload it. And out of cache, you can issue anything. You can do inspection, you can generate some commands without applying them. Again, it looks great, and we have been like, in the moment, we've been very happy. Visually, it's kind of ancient interface, not going too much into detail, but it looks like a list of details. We go from the top to bottom, applying them, activating them one by one. Everything was great. What went wrong? And we've seen that like right away. So this is the moment when access is applied at the nighttime. So our system reads from the database a task, and out of it generates a command and applies on device. All is great, automation is working, we have access, engineer comes or a malfunction happens, and configuration rolls back to a previous version. Of course, automation does not know about it, and the people come to us and say, we've asked for access, there is no access. You've done the job, but there is no access. Also, The InfoSec guys come to us and say it also would be great to recall access, like somebody asks for access, they may be dangerous. Can you please do a tool so we can roll it back or cancel? Yes, we have cache. We can actually next to put a service which would do the design of the revocation. We can do a backup. Backup of this configuration looks great, and the question is, at what time do you do these revocations? And we thought about that. Maybe it's not as important as open. First of all, you open and then you do revocation. But the system is going to work. We left everything in the same paradigm, and it works fine. And this is what it looks like. Let's say that things have been working fine, but then after a while our system cannot process a lot of inquiries. For example, in a day we can do 3 any requires to open or to close. On day 1 we have 6 inquiries, 4 to open and 2 to revoke. For resource A, we open first 3 accesses. Okay, good. Day 2 comes, we need to open access number 4, and then 2 more tasks for opening come. But the opening task could be sent to the same resource which has been in line in the queue yesterday. Like somebody asked for the new access to resource A. We take first 3 tasks, we open it up, including this new resource, like access to resource A, and again the task for revocation on the day 3, and we revoke whatever we needed yesterday. Of course, we were not, it was not like super good. We came to the boards, we began to think, what can be done? We gotta change our approach. What can we do in this case? Kubernetes is quite popular. It's like a declaration approach, and this looks promising, and we also think it's going to be just great. Well, I wanted to build some kind of declaration. So what do we declare? What do we want from this system? We want it to be like truthful. We need a system which knows exactly what should be on firewalls. Yeah, the hardware could be different. We could compare what we are seeing and what we have. So we have like this gap and we applied it, fine. We need some isolation from manual works, what network engineers usually do, and also to speed up calculation. We can get it if we isolated automatic access and no one bothers us. We can be much faster of what to apply or what to revoke. Looks great. How can we do it in terms of architecture? Since we already have a service, we can put right to some kind of web interface, another model to declare access and to call all of this like namespace and to invite everyone right here, along with the legacy services. It should be working fine. Most importantly, those tools which do access analytics, they do not change, they all stay the same. It all would be great, but we have some issues and things do not go according to plan. Maybe you've seen it, but when you're creating a new tool, you have legacy tool, and to transfer everybody to a new tool, it's challenging. So you need not only to motivate your company, but also to fine-tune all these processes. And it was not easy, let me tell you, to be able to migrate everyone to a new system. So some part of access would be done like in an old way. So we have a new service, an old service, and we live in this kind of paradigm. And since we got a new and old services, our engineers, whenever you need to understand where these came from, for example, like automators, we know it's our idea, but in terms of support and etc., it's difficult to learn it. And like what's wrong, it was like more and more complicated. And also when we did a new interface, you want to make it better and to do authentication. What does it give you? More complex integration. It seems like, okay, not too many problems, but they were not the full scope of problems. We even got some more serious problems. And most importantly, it's a problem with a vendor lock. Somebody came to us and told us, okay, let's connect yet another vendor and manufacturer. We do. Yeah, it looks great, but you need to do it real fast. And how can you do fast? Of course, you do kind of like supports in legacy, and because we have a declaration model, and we did good, and we really put it in the legacy, hoping that now we have like declaration model. But basically, we have problems with the import substitution, and not only like we have new vendors and all vendors, they have to be connected. You also have to analyze them and also like whether it fits or not. And when we change approach for each vendor, it simply is not going to work. We got to move away from it. And also at the same time, we have a different situation. We also were not quite ready for it, and new data centers and new zones of access. It has become focused because we have new access zones. Previously, we would set it up like a one or two firewalls, but with the same config. Now we have two access zones, and traffic migrates between them. To fine-tune, not only we need to do it on two devices, but many more devices now, and we need to keep this transaction, several filtration points. We were not ready in terms of software, what it looks like in terms of rules. You see, again, it's very simplified. On the top tier, from RCDST, we want to get access, and within the automation, it looks like you open groups A on firewalls and group B on firewalls, and this is the list of the rules which may be implemented. If not even one rule not done, that means that either growth is not going to happen or it will not be stable. So again, if one rule is not open, this this access is not working. Not good for a user. And also, in addition to that, we get new access zones. Although services living in one area, they want to be more accessible now. And they're like, we want to migrate to the new availability zone. What do we need to do to move to a new data center? So for them, it looks like easy and hard for us. Can you please repeat what we've had before in a new service? What do you mean like replicate? You have to find all the rules, and some engineers would open up some wide rules. So basically, in terms of analytics, we were not quite ready service-wise. And also we got some new addresses which are living in both data centers, and we got such a notion as like overcast. It's an address which is available in both places, in many places, and you need a separate logic in design and access. So the previous system basically physically could not do that. What else? Integrations. We added new authorization. And within, we've done some processes. And then, all of a sudden, because the product has been developed throughout 5 years, we do have some legacy. And somebody is using this legacy, which, one example is it may not be approved even with the information security. So potentially, you could open many things. And who's responsible? The platform, the service. And it's just horrible. Again, we sit down at the table, thinking what can be done. The time is very short. We need to change the platform and the processes. We thought for a long time, and then we decided, like, we got to change the inside, the core of how we use it. Very briefly, we decided to identify some elements which we think good and bad. What can we use? Of course, declaration model, we still like it, especially in terms of speed. We want to divide it between functionality and microservices. It's easy to do. We want one common entry point. We do not want different interfaces joining us. We want a more flexible schedule, like legacy, non-legacy, who is using what. We want to make some abstract model to go away from vendor lock. And also we need to get approval with information security guys. If you could imagine this kind of system, let's take main elements. Which group of elements can be singled out in services? Also, we got 3 of them. Number 1, on the top, like whoever comes to us, users, like the point of access for the users, and also some tools on the side, like for analyzing, like what is where, and also the engine, the cycle, which will be applying it through the feedback loop. Looks great. And let's try to consider each group. For example, In terms of user imaging, it's only 3 services. It all starts with a simple entry point, authentication, and routing in between services. You get an inquiry, and you know where users can go or where they cannot go, what kind of service they need to go to, and all in all, it's pretty common, pretty standard. Another service is validation and approval with infrastructure security department. So we have right here, like initially, all the rules and validation were on our platform. So the information security comes to us, like, can you guys add a couple more rules? We do, and we add them to different services. Sometimes we forget them. It was not super good. It would be even better if information security would be responsible for the rules and we for their application. So we can single out repository for the information security and our service, which we do validation. We will just be able to read the rules and not even bother about being responsible for the rules update, because InfoSec would be responsible for them. So after validation entry point, we have a service where all these successes have. It's a user representation of what they look like, if they're users. It's basically the point of truth, where we kind of, get stuff, what should be open, what should be closed. Next one is application cycle. How do we deliver those changes to firewalls? And the entry point would be the user representation. We have, like, we know what user sees it, and then we put it onto a planner, and the planner has 2 assignments: to plan and to design those accesses. You compare what you have on devices and what users want, find the gap, and apply. To get it from devices, let's write a cache reader. We take all the config from different devices, we save it into reader, and our planner is going to work with the cache. To read something, we do not use devices. So we add also like a writer which will be like executing those changes on devices. They need a transaction quality. The access to design is quite difficult. They need to see different producers, and for each producer, they need to prepare special commands. So the key thing in this cycle, why this cycle? We do all of this like on an ongoing basis. We read it from devices, we get it from the users, we got the delta or gap, then applied it for application, and then writer got this delta or gap and loaded into the device. If you do it, okay, good, we get the update and the planner sees that, okay, it has been applied, and based on this change, we'll be able to throughput a status in the user representation. They will see if access is open or not. If the access, for example, be deleted by the network engineer, with the next cycle, we will see it has been deleted and we'll reapply it. So this is like how we keep it updated. Some auxiliary tools, we also need them, and we have like a planner right here, and for them to be able to plan and to deal with all these security zones and accessibility, what are the addresses, what you can do and how, and what is the traffic path. This kind of service we were able to draw out, and we provide this information. On the other hand, we would like to develop analytical capabilities, and we've done so. We take the max amount of data on configuration out of this cache and storage, and we put it into a different service which aggregates this data, makes them like, let's call them inspectors. So we can use, upload, download, analyze. We give it to the InfoSec, and information security is smiling back. When it comes to reverse compatibility, yes, some legacy services have to keep on living. We cannot give them up completely like in a day, because a number of open accesses and open integrations, there is it's huge. But you gotta migrate like under the hood. We're able to do it, and those classical assignments, which would imperatively open, you can put them in a queue. Out of this queue, you can task queue, you can take them, write them in the new user representation, and see, okay, they're legacy. Good idea. It seems like it is working. In terms of declarative representation, it basically It applies well into the current representation, like one-to-one. It looks great. So reverse compatibility, it looks like things are working. But it's good, and we were really happy at the moment. But things again didn't go according to plan, as it usually happens in life. And it's a micro question. Who are you guys? How do we meet each other? We were young when we first came to our teams, and we wanted to meet everyone in the team. Like some kind of team buildings or something else, because we also live in different cities. We were not able to meet each other. Maybe you can do the paintball, karaoke, whatever. So after 1 year of working as a team, we launched this service, and I met my team, although in different way. It was like 4 a.m. The service has worked, and I got a lot of phone calls on my phone. And from 4 a.m. until the next night, I've learned how to, what are the names of the departments, because I got like many people come to me, and I was able to meet everyone at once. What has happened? A small detail. Maybe you've noticed. There is a service responsible for obtaining information on address. It came up with something. Let's say that this service, for whatever reason, decided that this address cannot be routed. Firewall, routing, whatever it does, and then this automation, which we cannot design access to this address. So we need to recall it, revoke it, and we've revoked basically many things. And then we learned how you do the post-mortem, like what happened, an explanation to everyone, and then our department became like a more high profile. And we need kind of this kind of blink protection thing. And revocation is a very dangerous operation. It's destructive. You gotta be very serious about that. And also in the company itself, we began to do like a manual processes. If you see that automation cannot guarantee the safe revocation, we need to employ this process. And like an automation team, when you need to do something manually, it's horrible because there are so many processes. For us, it was a huge motivation to be able to automate the processes and go away from the manual. So it's good either way. Next issue. There was like a cloning operation when the guys would come and say, hey, we got the I accessibility, we need to go to zone B accessibility. Okay, we spent a lot of time, we found a lot of rules, we planned them into a different firewall. Some other guys came, yet other guys, and at some point, network engineers came to us and said this configuration is not like Andrews, you cannot stretch it forever, you cannot clone it forever. Although technically we were watching limits on our devices, but there are certain workloads which devices cannot bear. At one night, no updates would be able to come. So we needed to revoke something. Revocation, is not an easiest operation. You need to analyze something, you need to do it, and it was like a very, very hard time. But we were able to optimize those two devices. And of course, information security came to us back. They have a different inquiry. Okay, can you please revoke what is not safe? Revoke this kind of accesses. We had a tool on revokes from the very beginning, but we did not have like a safe tool. And we need this kind of tool for information security. We thought about what can be done fast, quickly, and again, it's connect firewall logs to inspector to add traffic analysis, so you have like a full picture. And so for this access, like what we have, what points traffic goes through, what will be in case of revocation. Quite a big and serious work we've done. And at this point in the company, we have a lot of tools enabling us to do that, and we were able to integrate all of it. And of course, this new config that we would save from firewalls, we also could calculate amount of hits for each rules and etc. So all of this could be loaded into our analytics and get more precise tool on like what is going on, what you can revoke, what you cannot. So this kind of analysis system was very much updated. Yet another challenge is in terms of horizontal scaling up of the platform. Let's say we do not have a service, a balancer. You know why.
And we used to have two services, A and B. It was a distributed service and it lived on A and B servers. At a certain point in time, we would like to add the C server. In terms of network access, everything should be cloned from server A and B to server C, and we come back to the same situation when we have the same clone, how to arrange this clone properly. What's the subtlety here? Very often, if we take a look at it from the service like a DB, we don't know what would be the network access, and as a database, we are not very much interested about that. It's the user request. So the system where we declare access does not allow you to separate these two things. So the search became a very serious challenge for us. So the solution which occurred to us was just to drop the representation which was firewall-like, which is of course easy to design the access control, but it's not so good to the users, because the users would say, I would like just to get a path from the database to my application with scalability options, and the user wouldn't want to know what is happening under the hood or under the bonnet for that matter. So we went or are going from the firewall representation to the service representation. And since it's a service, it has its owner. It's much easier just to warn the one who would get the access. So we are going to get the map. So it's a very interesting and very effective solution. And new task also appeared. The firewalls are great, they are hardware, but that hardware doesn't really like being contacted very often, and you cannot cover everything with firewalls. The service is in place, it can become abstracted from what is happening. So the name is Firewall-as-a-service, but potentially we can tune it up in the cloud. We have a history of the host-based firewall solution. It's an actively promoted thing. I will very briefly explain this. Imagine that we have an agent installed on a host for traffic filtering with IP tables or BPF, eBPF. So there are plenty of such hosts. Let us add the control flash data plane to that, which would validate everything and would connect the authentication service to it. Authentication is clear, so our FW would connect not just exactly with the firewall, but it would engage itself with the plane, with the control plane. Therefore, we are going to get an FWAS adapter. It is a popular story these days. It's a very good thing for moving to the cloud options. I would like to say a few words about the future, what we'd like to do, what we'd like to open. The first thing which occurred to us in terms of acceleration with the first move to the event-driven model. Nowadays, we're using this data conveyor. They're going from A to B, they're filtered, but we would like to move more to the event-driven model. We're currently discussing this and adopting it, but I think event-driven model is the thing that we are dreaming to migrate to. Any change which is happening, or any change which is happening in terms of a planner, that this is working, is turning into events, and you put it outside. And I think this model is going to be very convenient, and it will be very optionally used in a very, very focused way. That's where we would like to move to. Sometimes if we get requests whether we are capable of working off the host-based firewalls, and we avoided that vendor lock, that's true. Conceptually, we can do that. So it seems like nothing stops us from moving there. But if we take a look at those 5 years ago, we still have some legacy code that we'll have to clean up. There's lots of it. We have components that are not vendor lock-like, but they are very subtle ones, and we just need to get rid of these subtleties and make it more specific. We have accumulated a bunch of documentation, a lot of documents, which is very hard to look through what's new and what's old. And of course, we single out some tests and we cannot do anything without tests. As soon as we are done, seems like that moving to the general platform is near. So getting back to the very beginning, as firewall as a service, what's this platform like? So I think now it's more clear. We are capable of opening access everywhere. We did not manage to drop vendor a lot. We don't have vendor lock. We provide cybersec about the traffic. We have learned to safely revoke the rights, and we of course confirm about the deletion and revocation. We are more than just we are more just firewalls. We are clouds, we are host-based, we are OpenStack, and we support the actual state. So the top 5 lessons that we've learned, if we have ever learned something. So first of all, the evolution targeted approach. It was not our conscious choice, it just worked like that, but it suits us. If we roll back 5 years ago, and if we could have started like from the very beginning, it would have been unrealistic to initiate that. But through trial and error, we did that, and I hope this experience of ours will be useful to some of you. And a very good lesson that we have, what we're going to get initially to expand things. A painful thing is, of course, different vendor locks. When we come up with models, it would be very nice to think about what is going to happen in a couple of years. With this import substitute solutions, it would be just a dream, but I think we just need to think about what is going to happen in the future. And of course, you have to be very careful about collecting the requirements. Before, we met everyone in the company, just need to very much in detail analyze the platform requirements and do not work in a very tactical way, but think about more strategy and gather more data. It would be very helpful. In terms of the implementation, I think technically I'm not going to say anything new. We've heard lots of reports like that in terms of the conveyor and the feedback. We are based on that, of course. If you want to do something fast, I recommend you do that. Yes, of course, we like this division and the services. Basically, we are moving towards microservices, and we are supporting them. We are fans of microservices. So if you would like to get to know things, you just need to get to know the people through team building. And so it's going to be much easier if you meet the people in front. So I've basically covered all my slides, and I expect questions from you, if any.
Игорь, спасибо. Друзья, обязательно проголосуйте за доклад Игоря.
Igor, thank you very much. Please vote for Igor's presentation. Could you please go back to the previous slide? We have lots of questions. Could you please roll back to the previous slide? And let's just start with simple questions. What are the end devices? Checkpoint, Cisco? What are they? Juniper, Palo Alto, Cisco? Things like that. My question, today we are representing a firewall, a box solution in G3 firewall. How long are you going to integrate it? Well, it looks like it's a stable story for us. Of course, first of all, we'll analyze it, but we go through this analysis phase very quickly. It takes approximately 2 months for the analysis and how to embed it. In terms of code, nothing changes here, apart from control plane and data plane. And it's going to take less than a year. Okay, it seems like that it takes a long time just to learn it, and then it happens very quickly. How many devices are connected through firewall to the system? Approximately. We are talking about more than 20. I cannot just tell you about everyone. Okay, that's the NDA part. How did you resolve this routing path and the policies involved? Well, for this, we have the NetOps team. They have an exact presentation of how they build it. On our side, it was very difficult to understand how it works, then to find the artifacts and learn that the traffic goes like that. It's our theory. NetOps gave it to us. We have the analysis practices, and in actual fact, then we understand how to do it properly inside the code. On the one hand, we draw the scheme, and then on the other hand, we do it inside the code to develop everything quickly. So the two main steps of the NetOps. Okay, thank you. What is the stack under the bonnet, under the hood? We are in favor of Python. We are Python fans, all the team. But today we are going towards Rust and Go. I showed eBPF there, so it's not Python there. A bit more interesting code-wise, as far as identity and alchemy and things like that related to Python. We like these things. As far as ClickHouses, Postgre, Kafka is also there, and Celery. We love them. It's all deployed in the company, so we have a platform where we can deploy your services, and Kubernetes is under the bonnet. So you don't do much on your own. Everything is a box solution. Next question, interesting one. Try not to disclose NDA. How do you protect your own FWaaS platform? How do you protect FWaaS? Because it's a very dangerous point of entry. Obviously, there are some subtleties there. The actual application is in the closed segment. In the executor writer segment, of course, there is no one getting access to that. It's very heavily protected, and there is a hole drilled to it through which traffic is filtered, if you can put it this way. All the rest is done through standard authentication, authentication, I mean, but that part is in the very closed segment, and it's very, very difficult to reach it. It's protected by serious gates. Heterogeneous infra, Uber, VMs, and a few cloud solution suppliers. The difficult management of the network options. Would you give a few top-level advice? What do we start with if you would like to move to the solution of yours? The top-level advice. First of all, the top-level advice, you avoid mistakes, avoid making mistakes. Imagine you start doing it in a new company. What would you have done? Well, first of all, we just need to learn about what is going on, what's new, and what we need to implement quickly. Very often, there were new requirements, and we were not just ready to do that. So I think it makes sense for us just to learn it. And then the abstract models, feedback, you tackle the infrastructure. I think that's the way. That's the way to go to. That's the way to go. If business needs access right now, at the moment, how do you do it? If they need it right now, right here. Of course, the business needs it right here, right now, and we need to revoke cybersecurity. But there are some processes which are embedded in the emergency situations. So through this service, you can re-implement this service. You need to open that type of a solution. People come up with an approved decision to do that. All the papers signed. We just need to give them a button which will be clicked by those who voted for that and approved that. So that's a standalone piece which is also done properly. PCI DSS, do you suit it with the microservices? I don't know what you really mean. Is there a catch? Basically, no. I don't know how to answer this question. How often and actively do you use host map with the host agents? eBPF is actively developing. It would not be wise for me to disclose all of the detail. We do not take the map of the eBPF. There is no such task there. That would be my response to it. A very diplomatic one. I wouldn't want to reveal any secrets. Application control, access to applications, and geo protection. Can you manage them with the platform? Yes and no. Partially, yes. There are such functions, but it's limited. It's not heterogeneous because it's not possible to do everywhere. With the host-based firewalling is the thing to do. They use it, but that's an exception from a rule. Most of the FWS-AA are primitive ones of protocol port, that type of story, but we are targeting it and we have no choice.
Пытались ли взломать ваш сервер?
Have you ever been breached? Has anyone ever tried pen testing you?
Сколько было домашних
Yeah.
заданий?
How much homework did you do? A lot of homework. We have a lot of legacy solutions. And first of all, we were very unnoticeable. Then we became noticeable after post-mortems and downfalls. We rescheduled everything. We restarted, and we thought that using everything what's new in the company is the paramount importance. There are not too many people working for us. Initially, there were just 2 people, and those hacking activities have created a very nice and secure infrastructure. So I think we have already done it, but we learned that lesson too.
Tinkoff помогает справляться с целевыми кибератаками.
How does Tinkoff solutions, how do they help control steal data, etc.? FWS is not the only protection tool, if you're referring to it. We are mainly talking about the inner part of the system. External part is a little more complicated, so you may want to revoke access here and there. We isolate the host. We can do these things, but actually the protection tools, FWS, are not the only ones. They are secondary. As far as post-based firewalling, we do not react to that quickly.